At the time of posting this video, it is December 17th, which means we are just 8 days away from Christmas, which is incredibly hard to believe. Seems like the whole year has just flown by. I love Christmas and I love this time of year. I've been enjoying it. I'll be sad to see it go when it's over. But you go to the stores, Christmas music playing in every stores. You go out and drive around. There's lights shining everywhere. I think that's the thing that's the most disappointing to me, when the lights come down. I love it. And even on social media, where you never know what you're going to get. There's so much good. There's so much Christmas cheer. But that's also what's prompted this video, is something else I've noticed every December, right? Without fail, you can almost set your calendar to it. Around December 1st, that first week of Christmas, a lot of people start posting about Santa, right? And there's this great debate amongst Christians. Do we celebrate Santa? Do we not? Right? Many have said on both sides of the camp. Many have said, Santa's harmless fun. But on the other side, I've heard things like he's a distraction. He steals away from the true meaning of Christmas. He's dangerous. And the most extreme examples, even I've heard some say that Santa is demonic. And Christians go back and forth in this debate. Scriptures always get quoted. Lines get drawn, accusations get thrown, judgments on open public forums, right? And suddenly, instead of celebrating the birth of Jesus, we find ourselves fighting about a man in a red suit. Most Christians aren't trying to be divisive on this matter. I believe that. I think it comes from a good place, right? Why? Because I think that they're truly trying to protect what matters most. They're trying to keep the spotlight on Jesus. And that desire is good. That instinct is right. But somewhere in this debate, I think we forget to ask the very question that Jesus himself taught us to ask. And if you go to Matthew, in the middle of the book there, chapter 7, early on, I guess, this is the Sermon on the Mount, right? And this is what Jesus says to us. He says, a good tree bears good fruit, right? And then what's he say on the flip side? Well, a bad tree bears bad fruit. He says, then you will know them by their fruit. So whatever you want to observe, whether it's a spirit, a teaching, a holiday tradition, look at that tree, watch it over time. Does it produce good fruit or does it produce bad fruit? That's how you'll know it. Not by its image, not by its reputations or assumptions of social media posts, right? But by their fruit. So in the middle of this Santa debate, maybe the real question isn't, is Santa biblical or is Santa pagan? Maybe the real question is, what fruit does Santa produce? After all, that is the test that Jesus gave us, right? So let's apply that to Santa. When we look at the spirit around Santa, what do we see? Generosity, do you not? How about giving? Kindness, childlike joy, wonder, being accountable for your own actions, whether good or bad, family bonding, hopefulness. Man, that's a huge one. Hope. And yes, none of this replaces Jesus, but those things don't come from darkness either, do they? Those are the kinds of virtues, in fact, that Scripture calls the fruit of the Spirit. And Jesus says good fruit comes from a good tree. So let me ask you, does the fruit of Santa, does the fruit that surrounds Santa look like destruction, fear, darkness, or evil? Or does it look like the kind of fruit that Jesus himself commends? Because Jesus never said, judge things by where they come from historically, did he? He said, judge them by the fruit they produce right now. And so there's going to be some well-meaning Christians out there that counter this argument, and that's okay. But what they're going to say is, look, doesn't the Bible say that Satan can appear as an angel of light? And you're right. That is true. But here's the difference, okay? When Satan disguises himself, the disguise never lasts, does it? Think about it. His fruit in time will always reveal itself. His intentions will surface. Darkness always has a way of leaking through. It can't hide for long. God won't let it. So if Santa were truly demonic, as some have said, do you think a century plus of celebrating him would have produced by now brokenness, despair, destruction, pride, chaos, immorality, the fruits of destruction? But instead, what does it continue to produce and produce more of? Generosity, joy, family connection, a season when even unbelievers feel compelled to give. Think about that. That does not sound like the fruit of the enemy to me. So what do we do with this? Well, you don't have to elevate Santa. It's not what I'm saying. You don't have to preach Santa. We don't have to center on Santa. But listen, I don't think we have to fear him either. If anything, we can look at the fruit and say, anything that encourages giving, kindness, joy, and generosity only makes the season feel more like Jesus, not less. Because the truth is, the only thing that can steal Jesus' glory is when his people stop reflecting his heart. Santa does not steal the spotlight from Jesus. Man, have we missed the majesty of Jesus if we actually think that a man in a red suit can steal our Jesus' glory away. But bitterness, division, fear-driven faith, open judgment of each other, his children, right? That steals glory from Jesus. So before we fight about Santa this year, maybe we pause and ask the question Jesus taught us to in Matthew 7. Because when you test the fruit honestly, you don't find darkness. You find joy, generosity, wonder. And those things, when you look closely, sound a whole lot more like the fingerprints of heaven to me.